Hi and welcome. My name is Johnny Fergan. I'm from All Total Coaching. What I want to talk to you today is why does suicide increase in wealthy countries, yet in poor countries it's not rising. By the way, the claim I made, you can look it up on the Australian Bureau of Statistics /suicide, and you can see how in Australia suicide has been increasing drastically in the last 20 years. Go to www.abs/suicide and you will find what I just made. And in my book we talk about this. But today we'd like to talk about why is it increasing in the West and why it's not increasing in supposedly third world countries. But before we start, I'd like to talk about a book that I mention this topic and I explain why, and I give practical advice how to get out of depression, and I give practical advice how to be happy. Now, I'm not a medical doctor, but these things have helped many of my clients, and it will help you. I'm not saying in all cases, but in majority of cases, people that work with me found this to be beneficial. So what is our book all about? How to be a man, what your father never taught you. We talk about in this book, how to be a man, manhood, women relationships and sex, media manipulation, indoctrination by the movies, health, food and exercise and why it's so important, money, wealth, what you need to know, and what you're not taught at school, value, what it is and why it's so important, happiness and fulfillment, how to overcome the biggest phenomena generational depression and fear, feminism, the real truth, family court, false accusation, social etiquette, how to be social, build a great network, keep up, how to maintain your relationships, some of the rules that will save your life, and sources and resources. So today, I'd like to talk about a simple thing, but extremely important. Why is it that in Western countries where there's far more wealth, there is more depression and more suicide, yet in poor countries, it's not increasing. And even if it is nothing near what's happening in the West, it's very, very simple. Because the West has focused on individualism rather than collectiveness. We as people are social creatures. We need to interact with people. Whether you're a man or woman, we feel far more valuable when we are with people and we've got real friends. Today, more than ever before, people have 7,465 friends on Facebook, yet when they're in a crisis, they cannot ring one person. So what's the point of having all these supposedly friends when none of them will help you when you're in a crisis? I don't have 7,455 friends on Facebook, but I can reassure you, I have 7 people that will help me, and I will help them even if I have to walk on glass. Because when I had a crisis, like we all had, and I had not one crisis in my life, these men and these people walked on glass for me. They know precisely who they are. And I dedicate my life to these people that help me, and I'll never forget the things they did for me. And why is it that in poor countries where the wealth, people live in poverty, the suicide rate is not increasing? Because they feel as if they're part of a community. They feel they belong. There is a collectiveness, a part of a community. Now I'm not going to religion usually on this channel, but when people go to church or synagogue, they feel part of a community, or their mosque or whatever. I'm just giving an example here. But when you do not go and all you think about day in and day out about money, there's always more money. And no matter how much you have, you always wish you had more. There's nothing wrong with money. It's great. But you need a sense of belonging. You need a sense of collectiveness. You need a sense that you belong to a bigger cause than yourself or that cause of money. Therefore, when you don't have that, you always look at people that have got more money than you or more stuff than you. And this is what makes you depressed. Because 90% of the media in Australia or in the West is pure indoctrination. Buy this, do this. If you feel buy this, you'll feel happy. When you may buy that car or whatever it may be, you'll be happy for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. After that, you wish you bought something else, or it's the latest car or whatever. So they're keeping you on a race to buy things, but buying things is only a short-term fix to happiness. Real happiness is another collective, not the individualism. There is nothing wrong with aiming to become rich. But remember, my dear friends, that when you have money, help your community, help your family, man, help people that are listening to you. I'm not saying give everything, but give something. But a lot of people that have got a lot of money always wish they had better and they become stingy. I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of them. And this is the main reason why depression in the West is an increase, and nobody talks about this. I talk about this because, as you're aware, I have a few friends that committed suicide. This is not a laughing matter. And very few mainstream media talk about this. And this is the main reason why the West, that is supposedly wealthy, everybody puts their face nice, there is more depression. And medical practitioners today do not care when you tell them you're depressed, because nobody listens to you, and sometimes you need somebody to listen to you. And all they do is another medication out of the door. Yet, in a book that I mentioned in my book, Sandra Salas says, in a medical book of the Medical American Society, written in the early 90s, and I quote this in my book, that if you go for depression, your doctor may prescribe to you a certain routine regimen of exercise, as this has been known to produce endorphins, alleviate pain, and kick in the feel-good factor. Yet today, we don't see that. All it is out of the door, because the pharmaceutical companies are not interested in your or my welfare physically, they're interested in dollars. So this is the reasons why depression is on the rise in the West and suicide rates are increasing, yet in poor countries that they don't have the wealth, it's steady. Maybe it's increasing, but it's not at the rate, an alarming rate that we have in the West. And we've got an epidemic that nobody wants to talk about. In Australia, if you mention suicide, and I've done this experiment, out of 10 people, there'll be at least 8 that know somebody directly or indirectly that committed suicide. And in Australia, 6 out of 8 people that commit suicide are men. I can continue in this video about more reasons, but that will be sufficient for this video. I mentioned more reasons in my book about why men commit suicide. A recent survey in Australia pointed out that 44% of people living in Australia had or are going through depression at one stage of their life. 44%. Don't take my word for it. Look it up. I'll put a link below. Thank you very much. Please subscribe to our channel for great topics on topics of life. I can reassure my dear friends, I work diligently on this book. This is my life's work. I want to help you. But I always ask you and anybody, do you want to help yourself? Purchase our book, Change Your Life, 30-day money-back guarantee. It's now available on digital format via PDF. And for those that ask me, they want the book in print, it's coming. It's been dated many, many times, but make no mistake about it, I am a determined man. And I don't care how much it costs and how long it will take, but the book will be printed. And there will be a book launch sooner or later, more than likely not by the end of this year, but early next year. My dear friends, I want to thank you for listening to me, for taking your time, and really, really hope that I made some inroads in your mind to think about this sad topic that very few people have got the balls, the tenacity, and the guts to speak about this topic like I do. Thank you very much. Look us up at www.alltotalcoaching.com. As always, you know who I am? I'm your friend, Johnny African. Bye-bye.